Good.
So, audience, let's reset the room. We are here with Alia Ali, who will share her journey of courage and healing through the experience of a suicide loss. She's a passionate suicide awareness advocate. So, I'm really looking forward to listen to her about this taboo topic of the suicide. And yeah, I'm just waiting for your share. Please
Okay.
go ahead and introduce the topic. Maybe we can also introduce a little bit you, so more from your own
Okay.
words.
All right. Before I start, I just want to make sure I know where to. Can I? Shall I share the screen now or?
Oh yes, you can. You just put the share button.
Okay. I don't know what it is. Okay. Share and then share
You
screen,
just
right?
choose the document and it will appear on the screen.
Okay. Please bear with me.
The audience is preparing the fingers for the questions. No worries.
Okay.
Okay.
What do I do now?
Yeah,
What
you
do
have
I?
to choose the PowerPoint. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks
Let
for
me
your patience,
remove
everyone.
first. Just try again. Yes, just choose the PowerPoint. So for the audience, until then, just think it through. What are the things that you're interested in this topic? What are the things that you have in your head? All the questions and everything around it. And let's just write it in the comments. This is a hard topic, so maybe for some of you it takes a little bit of time to get some bravery and write some comments, but please do so because Alia is Alia knows this topic from experience, so she is the a person who will answer all your questions.
Oh my goodness.
No
Um,
problem, just choose the document, and then once you choose the document, then you can just
okay.
share it. So basically, you can share your screen, and when you share your screen, it offers you the option to choose your entire screen or a Chrome tab or a
Yay!
presentation. Okay, perfect.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Sorry,
No
I'm just not
problem.
technically savvy. Can you see me or can you see my slide or
We can see you on the side also. Yes, thank you.
oh okay, because I can't see myself, but that's fine. All right, thank you, Andrea. Thank you so much for being patient with me. I'm wearing a colorful and flowery shirt just to let everyone know out there that even though I am a suicide loss survivor, even though that this is going to be somewhat heavy topic, but I will try my best to make it light. And I hope everyone will share my journey. It's not for us to be sad or upset about it, but it's something. It's a story for us to take to learn from, so that we are aware of our surrounding and we can provide help or assistance and be aware of the people who are struggling with mental health within our surroundings. Yeah. I will start with my name again. I'm Alia Ali. I am also fondly known actually as Kak Ngah. Can you try to say that, Andrea? Kak Ngah is. Oh, okay. It's quite difficult to pronounce, but in my advocacy name is usually Kak Ngah. And the topic I'm going to be talking about is about breaking the silence, issues on suicide loss. Yeah. So I am actually the founder of AWAS. AWAS stands for Awareness Against Suicide. If you can see, if you've ever been in Malaysia, I understand this is a global summit, so people are listening from all over the world. But if you've ever been on the road in Malaysia, driving in Malaysia, or walking or taking the bus in Malaysia, you will see these signs, this triangle signs that says AWAS. Um, Awas means, actually, it literally means, in Malay, in my language, in Malaysian language, it means caution or beware, or be careful. So it's a local word, but it's also an abbreviation for Awareness Against Suicide, which I am the founder of AWAS. And AWAS is actually a program under Yayasan Zurat Care. Yayasan is foundation, so the foundation name is Zurat Care, where AWAS has three main objectives. We do suicide awareness programs, suicide prevention programs. We support or help people who are, you know, who are hopeless, who have lost hope, and thinking about ending their lives, as well as postvention programs. We do postvention programs. Postvention is not is fairly new, especially in Malaysia. Postvention is when there's a suicide death occurs in a community, whether it's a school, workplace, university, even residential area. We would come and provide emotional support, community support for the people who are traumatized or who have lost loved ones to suicide. Okay, like I said, awas means take heed or beware or be caution. So this is about, you know, awareness on suicide. A little bit about me. Um, I am actually, like I said, known as Kak Ngah. I am also a bachelor's degree. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, minoring in sociology from Michigan, USA. I did my development studies in culture change from New South Wales, Australia. I'm currently employed as a real estate negotiator. So AWAS is actually my advocacy work, my volunteer work. It's something I do. I'm really passionate about it. I'm a mental health advocate because of my loss, my experience with my losing a loved one to suicide. So I am going to be sharing or talking about my point of view today is from the angle of a person who is standing up to stigma on mental illness and suicide, and be the bringer of hope to anyone affected from both sides. When I say both sides, meaning either from the side of a survivor or somebody who has left, being left behind by suicide, or somebody who are struggling with a mental health condition, because I've been on both sides. Yeah. And also, I want everybody to know that I am just a humble messenger. I'm sharing my story because it has affected me. Suicide has impacted my life really so much. It has changed my life, hopefully to better. Of course, it didn't. It didn't. I didn't become better, or I didn't become the mental health advocate I am today instantly. It was a long process. I lost a loved one to suicide about 10 years ago. That's almost a decade. So I went through a very long process of healing journey. I'm also a daughter, a sister, a wife, mother of two, and like I said, a mental health advocate with lived experience. When I say lived experience, I have had the experience of being diagnosed with post traumatic stress disorder or PTSD, suicide loss. I've experienced that, and also um, throughout my journey of healing, I had developed MDD, or major depressive disorder, and generalized anxiety disorder. So it was a really long and painful journey, but today I am here to share my story and to let people know that there is hope. There is such thing as post-traumatic growth, despite the fall, despite the pain, despite the trauma. We all have means and ways to stand back up and to fight and to keep going again. All right, so just a disclaimer, I am not a clinical psychologist, not a therapist, not a licensed counselor. Ours is not a counseling center, and not we don't even do a crisis helpline. But it Yes, but it is a program to promote suicide awareness, prevention, postvention. It's a safe space created to end stigma and promote healing by and for individuals impacted by suicide, a safe space for individuals struggling with mental health issues, provide support group for suicide loss survivors, and it's a platform to gain a bite-sized mental health tips and support. For all your information, um, there are when I started this journey as a suicide loss survivor, when I became a suicide loss survivor, I tried to look for help, tried to look for support, but there was none. In Malaysia, it's such a taboo to talk about it, to speak about it, even to talk about mental health. Not a lot of people are ready to talk about mental health. So when I lost a loved one 10 years ago, I couldn't find support group um, for suicide loss survivors. I went to um, uh, I went to seek for help, but the only help I could find was through psychologists or psychiatrists. So there were none for suicide loss survivors, and it was really a painful journey. I went to this association championing. For suicide, but they took my number. I told them my story, what happened, and they took my number and told me that we are really sorry, we don't have any support for suicide loss survivors. Perhaps one day we will call you and let you know if there's any. And 10 years has passed, almost 10 years has passed, until today they haven't called me back. And because of that, after becoming well, I decided to start one through AWAS. I decided to start a support group for suicide loss survivors. So basically, it's it's probably safe for me to say that um, through AWAS, support for suicide loss survivors are here now, and it's the first suicide loss survivor support group from peer to peer. That means from people who have lost. Who have experienced the loss, for the people who have lost loved ones to suicide. So before we go further on, I would like to, just do a little bit of trigger warning and house rules. A trigger refers to something that affects your emotional state, often significantly by causing extreme feeling of overwhelm or distress. So if any point of time, during my sharing of story, telling of story, if you feel uncomfortable, or if you feel like, this is too much, or it's upsetting you, please, by all means, you are welcome to not continue this session. It is okay to leave the session when feeling triggered or uncomfortable with the topic discussed. And please, it is advisable. I would like to say compulsory, for people to speak with a counselor or therapist or doctor if you really feel upset or disturbed by the things that we shall discuss. Yeah. So yeah, I hope we have an agreement, and thank you for staying safe. I'm going to begin my journey of sharing my story of courage and healing. Like I said, 10 years ago, I lost a loved one to suicide. It was a really traumatic journey, and I'm still scared talking about it. Although I have started this mental health advocacy work since April 2020, so fairly new. I started with a lot of doubt, self doubt, fear, because of the stigma. Not only people, Malaysians or people are uncomfortable talking about suicide and mental health. I had my own self stigma. Like I started earlier, I told that I've shared that I am a graduate of psychology, right? And because of that, because of my degree in psychology, it made me feel like um, I'm a failure, like I have failed to protect my loved one. Um, so um, so it has made me feel like I'm a failure and fail to protect my loved one. Even though with the degree in psychology and some experience working in a mental health facilities, I have actually worked in a psychiatric hospital before. That did not made me realize the struggle that my loved one was going through. Perhaps again because of the stigma. And when I lost my loved one, it was really difficult for me to digest the whole process. I did not immediately process my trauma. Unfortunately, the pictures, the videos of my loved one was being leaked, and it was all over social media. It was a really painful journey, and because of the culture, because of the religion, because of the mentality, 10 years ago, there was not a lot of mental health. There was not a lot of awareness on mental health. People were judging, people were saying awful things, people were, um, saying that, he was low life, he was, um, he's going to hell, and things like that. So it was really painful. It was traumatizing. Not only I had to deal with the loss, the pain of loss, but the trauma that comes with it. The trauma that, there was no privacy. People were talking about it. People were judging, and people were being mean and nasty and stigmatizing my loved one, and also me as the survivor. So here I'm going to be sharing the enduring risk factors. I got this from, was adopted from Dr. Ng Ying Pin, a psychiatrist that I was worked together with sometimes, especially for postvention programs. This is the risk factors, the enduring risk factors. If we look at the diagram here, we can see that in the individual space here, there are many reasons for suicide. Sometimes it's personality, such as impulsivity, or the history of previous suicide attempt. Um, some people are struggling with mental disorders, alcohol or substance abuse, hopelessness, chronic pain illness, even genetic or biological factors. And as we know, during this pandemic, a lot of people have lost jobs, financial loss, livelihoods, and they are affected and impacted. And then there's another circle of community where trauma and abuse happen in either institution level, or discrimination happens, disaster, war and conflict, stresses of acculturation and dislocation for some people. um, and also there's society, the bubble within the society. People sometimes have problems accessing to means, accessing to mental health care. Inappropriate media reporting, like I said earlier, unfortunately the pictures and the videos were leaked, the information were leaked, everything was leaked, and in the case of my loved one, and it was all over um, the social media. And because of that, um, it it brings about a lot of other risk for the survivors. Research shows that suicide loss survivors are actually at high risk of being suicidal themselves, because because of the stigma, because of the shame, because of the pain, because of the guilt. I was dealing with a lot of guilt. I felt like, like I said, I should have known, being a psychology major. I should have known, being someone who has worked in a psychiatric hospital. I should have known. So there was a lot of guilt, a lot of self punishment, and for a long time, I was angry at myself, and there was a lot of self hatred too. And I guess because of that, I developed depression and anxiety and all that. And until I struggled with my own suicidal thoughts, I was becoming scared of my own situation. That was the time I actually sought help. I being Like I said, being a psychology major has has shamed I shamed myself. I was embarrassed because I feel like I I did not do what I was supposed to do. And um, but to the point where when I had a panic attack, I couldn't breathe. I was driving. I remember I was driving on the road on the highway, and I had to pull over, park the car on the side of the road because I was sweating profusely. Having my heart was beating really fast, and I was just scared and confused and anxious, for no reason. There was no one honking me, no one disturbing me on the road or anything like that. But that was the time when I was also like forgetting things. I would go into the bathroom, turn the tap on, and leave the bathroom without shutting the tap. Things like that, losing keys, and I couldn't wake up. I was depressed, and there was no energy. I didn't have energy to wake up in the morning, to send my kids to school. I was just sad. I had bouts of tears. I would cry randomly, and we're not talking about immediately after losing a loved one, because I pretended for a long time. And I think people who are struggling with their mental health, they would pretend that they're okay. They would try to hide it, and um, push it down, and try to manage it and pretend like they're okay, distract themselves. I did all of that, of course. But after another grief hits, when I lost my dad. It was a natural death, but still, I lost my dad to cancer. So there was another grief, and the whole thing was like, underneath was like magma, was like lava ready to explode, and it did explode. It became anxiety and panic attacks, and that was the time I went to the doctor. I decided to, being advised by friends, I decided to go and seek for help. And I feel that seeking for help is one of the best things that I have made, one of the best decisions that I have made in my life. And 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 through this, through my story, I would love to send a message to everyone that please do not wait, to seek help. Do not be shamed or embarrassed or worried about, what would people say, or what would people think of me, especially on this side of the world, especially in Malaysia, or in the Asian side, I guess. People are afraid of what other people would think of them. People are, it's highly stigmatized. It's such a taboo topic. Of course, it's changing now, but I feel like, um, I too must play a role in standing up and sharing my story. Although afraid, although I'm scared, but I feel like self advocacy is very important, and people must know that it's okay. It's okay, to reach out for help, and it's really important to not wait until things get worse, right? So yeah, so looking at the risk factors, there are many, many, many layers. There is not one factor, to suicide. There are many risk factors, many layers of it. It's like, here it's like, okay, by the way, I should give credit, I took this from the internet. But it's like, the English saying, um, the feather that broke the camel's back, right? It's not one feather, or the straw that broke the camel's back. It's not one straw, not one straw that can break the camel's back, but it's actually, a duration of heavy load of straw for a long, long time that could actually break the camel's back, right? And suicide is the result of a complex interaction of risk factors, including but not limited to genetic, psychological, social, and cultural risk factors, sometimes combined with experiences of trauma and loss. So, let's be careful, and let's be mindful. Let's not judge others who are struggling with their mental health. And even if we are struggling with mental health, don't judge ourselves for being, for being weak, or for not being able to, to be as capable or as competent, as other people, because it's an illness, right? We wouldn't say that to people who are struggling with cancer, people who have been diagnosed with cancer or diabetes, or any kind of illness, for as a matter of fact, right? We wouldn't say that to, a person struggling with a physical illness, illness, nasty things. So why would we say to people who are struggling with their mental health, things like, oh, you're just lazy, or things like, oh, you don't pray enough, or things like, or you're just making this up for attention, and things like that. And please, believe me, um, I too thought my loved one was seeking for attention. I too thought that, you know oh, this, he's just struggling, this will pass, it's just a phase, I thought. And I was wrong, I was really wrong. And not a day goes by that I do not think of him, I do not think of my loved one. And this regret, is there forever, within me, and for the rest of my life, I know. But I'm trying my best to um, transform this wound, into wisdom, and to transform this pain into a purpose. So that's why I started AWAS. And here's also a nice diagram. I feel like, when people are struggling, we should speak less and listen more. That's the reason why God give us 2 ears and one ear, one mouth. 2 ears is for us to listen more and speak less, right? Often feel supported if people listen to him with empathy rather than prematurely offering of advice or solutions. Sorry, him or her. People often feel supported when there's empathy, when people don't judge them, when people don't ridicule them or dismiss them, or try to offer premature advices or solutions. So that's very important. If we know anyone struggling, or if we ourselves are struggling with our mental health, um, let's go and find people who are willing to listen more, than people who are going to just, brush us off, or tell us that, dismiss us, or things that are, unpleasant to hear, right? Because it's painful when we're already struggling with our mental health, when we are already, in pain. We want other people to listen to us and validate our emotions, validate our feelings, and not judge us, right? So, basically today, I, either than the awareness of suicide, or to share about my personal journey as a suicide loss survivor, I would also want to invite and encourage everyone here, um, to know that, everything we want is, actually on the other side of fear. This quote actually, spoke to me, when I was really, struggling, when I was trying to find, the reason, when I was trying to find an answer to what happened to me, why this thing happened, why do I have to deal with this suicide loss, why does good things happen to, why does bad things happen to good people, and things like that, right? Sometimes we wonder, we question life, we question God, and things like that. But this quote, struck me, and I feel like the only thing that could change all this mess, with regards to mental health, is stigma, is to challenge stigma, is to, challenge the status quo, and when we challenge the stigma, when we stand up to stigma, uh, other people who are listening, or who are also dealing with stigma, would feel like they're not alone, would feel like, yeah, stigma is wrong. Why do we hold on to stigma, right? Because stigma is the one who's stopping people from getting the help, because of the fear, because of the shame, um, you know because of stigma. So I would like to to ask, everyone here. I asked this question myself. What would I love? What would I want from this? From losing my loved one to suicide. Nothing can bring him back now, right? But I would love to see change. Definitely, I want change to happen in Malaysia, in my society, among the Muslim communities, among among people everywhere in the world. I want I want stigma to stop. I want change to happen, and for it to happen, I realize that I can't just not do anything. I realize that I can't just be in silence and suffer in silence, right? So this fear is holding me back. The fear of being judged, the fear of of um, of having a mental disorder, the fear of not being capable to live life normally. And I realized that um, that stigma can be challenged through courage, to speaking up. And I would love to um, share this message that we all can make a difference by standing up to stigma when we're ready, of course. So, things to know about issues on suicide. Research have shows that it is better to talk, or it's better to ask. Please don't be afraid to ask if someone is suicidal. If someone is, we think we think that that person is struggling with their mental health. People who have suicidal thoughts or plans are relieved actually when someone knows about them and is able to help them, because they are ambivalent. It's not like set in stone. It's not like when they have decided to take their life, they are still ambivalent. There is room for us to convince them that this is not the end of it. There is still hope and things like that. And please, the reason why I'm sharing my story is because I want people to learn from my mistake. I saw those signs. Honestly, I saw those warning signs of suicide of my loved one, and but I didn't take heed. Um, I didn't do anything about it. I honestly thought that it would just go away. These symptoms or these struggles would just go away, like most of us. So I would really want people to know that to take mental health issues seriously. People who are struggling, they might we never know which straw is their last straw that could break the camel's back, so to speak. Yeah. So, and people who attempt suicide are not seeking attention. This is also the mistake I've made, and I've learned from it. And I wish people do not have to go through it in order to understand or learn it. Please learn from my story. So this pretty much is a sharing of not only a sharing on suicide awareness, it's also a message or sharing on self advocacy. Mental health is as important as physical health. Please take it seriously. Um, in order to love who we are, we cannot hate the experiences that shaped us. And I learned that too. For a long time, I hated my experience of being for losing a loved one to suicide. For a long time, I was angry at everything, everyone, every single thing, and because of that, there was so much hatred in me, and I was in a lot of pain. And later on, I learned that I cannot do this to myself. I cannot keep punishing myself. And we have to start I have to start learning to learn from the mistakes, and do something about it, and learn and change this pain into a purpose. That's my take from my suicide loss experience. And do know that everyone matters. Don't let anyone invalidate our feelings or the traumatic experiences that we have or have gone through. Yeah. So this is not my number. It's actually the hotline number. It's not a hotline. You cannot call. It's AWAS number for texting, for people, to encourage people to reach out for help and ask for tips or mental health tips, or where to. We even have people from all over the world, talking to us, contacting. It's really nice to be connected with other suicide loss survivors. We have a support group, and it's not only meant for Malaysians. So it's a little community for supporting and encouraging each other to to be well and support each other's grief and healing journey. Yeah. So thank you. I would leave some room for question if there's any. Thank you for listening to my story. Like I said, I'm still doing this scared. It's been a very uh, painful but amazing journey for me. um, I learned to love life now. And I wish that everyone who are struggling to know that there is hope. And this topic is about let's be bold together, right? And this is me being bold. This is me standing up to stigma. This is me sharing my story, and I really hope that I leave everyone here with some hope, some love, and know that we all can change, can always choose to transform our pain into purpose. And if even if we do not want to advocate for anything, but we can still, please remember that we can still transform our wound into wisdom. Thank you. So yeah.
So I'm coming back with my voice. So thank you very much for this.
You're
It's
welcome.
really really a deep share, and I know that it's a heavy topic, but I really wanted to make it happen. I'm really um, really admire all of you for your power, for your strength, and for what you do for others to not to get into the same situation and to help those who are getting into this situation, because everyone gets hurt in this process. So it's really really important to raise awareness, and I think the audience is also having the same opinion. So everyone is saying thank you very much. Quality awareness makes the most difference. Then Jagatis is saying, Alia, the quote resonated with me. I'm a woman of few words, but I listen more and learn more. And we have Simfong saying, I read many Facebook posts each day, especially from friends. And if I identify undertone in the message, I would message or call them and check whether they are okay.
Yeah.
And then we have Nor Zia Tulakma Manap. And she's saying, great sharing, Alia. And Anis is also saying, thank you very much for sharing. And Jagatis is also coming back. So if you have any questions, we still have a few minutes. So please feel free to type it into the comments. And I'm sure that Alia will answer all of the questions. Udomna is also saying hi. So yes, please feel free to ask your questions. We have around 10 minutes left for the questions. So if you want to ask anything.
Thank you, Andrea, for this opportunity. I hope I did not bring the gray clouds with me. I know this is a heavy topic, but I feel it is also a hopeful topic. At the same time. So, yeah.
No, I think the delivery was amazing because you were touching everything. It was really insightful, and you gave a lot of hope, but at the same time, you shared your own experience, and you also shared places where people can go if they have something, because that's the most important, right? To reach out, because some people don't reach out.
Yeah, and suffer in silence, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. So it's really.
we all are guilty of that sometimes, right?
So Udamna is asking a question. I would like to know if it is wrong to have alone time when worried about things, like being alone.
Thank you for your question. I don't think so. I think alone time is necessary, in my opinion. But as long as we do not suffer alone, as long as we are not suffering in silence alone, that's that's the key word here. That's the key thing. That's a key point here. Because being alone, I am an introvert, so I appreciate being alone. It for me, being alone is necessary because it will help me recharge. Being around people too much drain me. So I would love sitting alone, doing my reading, or doing things by myself. That will help me. But when you are struggling alone, that's another thing. When you are suffering alone, that's when everything becomes bigger. All your pain becomes bigger, and then it becomes dangerous if because everyone has mental health, not everyone has mental disorder. But if we do not take care of it, if we let the trauma or let the pain um keep circling in our mind and not have an outlet to share or to speak about it, right? Because sometimes when we are so stressed out or so depressed, we can't see the
Mhm.
light at the end of the tunnel. We're not able to. So having our own listening to our own thoughts can be dangerous, and suffering alone is dangerous. It's not healthy. So it's really important to seek help when you are suffering. But alone time, I feel, is okay, is even good.
I think if you enjoy long time, then enjoy it.
Right,
If
right.
you don't enjoy, then reach out.
Exactly, thank you. That's in few words you helped me to. Yeah, that's true, that's true.
Yeah, I learned to summarize with these 3 weeks of interviews.
Thank you, that's good.
So we have
Yeah,
that to Alia also here supporting from the background. So the advocacy on mental health awareness and suicide prevention needs and can continue when we join forces to support, to understand the need to listen and refer them to the right people to support. She's also
that's true.
doing amazing job in this is field. So I'm really happy to have her on board. And there are more questions coming in from Udumna from Africa. So, do you think every problem demands discussing it with others?
I think it depends on, because you know what you're struggling with, right? And your surrounding. In my case, I because suicide suffering with a suicide loss was not a norm. It's people don't talk about it here. So I didn't have the outlet to talk about it. But at the same time, I was in pain, in a lot of pain. I did not process my trauma. So I realized that when I actually started I was anonymously. I went online. I was looking for other suicide loss survivors, because there weren't any people advocating, or suicide loss survivors advocating in Malaysia. There was zero support then. Perhaps individual there was, I don't know, but there was no support group. Um, yeah, for me, I needed the room, the safe space to discuss about this. And I realized, by us normalizing about things, taboo topics, it becomes healthy, it becomes educational. It's not about talking about other people, it's not about trying to put other people down, but it's about educational things that we need to discuss about, like sexual topics, here in Malaysia too, like children. If you don't talk to them about it, you don't normalize these things, then they will find things on the internet, even about suicide, even about mental health. They might learn the wrong things on the internet. So it's important to discuss about it, I feel. But also it's important to find the right people, right resources, to discuss about it. Yeah.
I think Kudumna has a lot of questions.
Okay. Where
Where
being
being hard work and independent but mocked for no big results, should they withdraw or keep pushing?
Wow. Where being hard work and independent but mocked for no big results, should they withdraw or keep pushing? I think that's a question you have to ask yourself. It really differs from person to person. It depends on how much you want it. For example, in my case, again, I can only relate to my case. In the case of suicide, being a suicide loss survivor, people don't talk about this. This is not a norm. This is not a normalized. It's still a taboo topic. But because I want it so bad, people have said awful things to me. People have discouraged me. Even a psychiatrist, even a mental health expert has told me, has stopped me, has discouraged me from being a mental health advocate because of the stigma. He told me that you are going to get a lot of nasty remarks, which has happened, but because I want it so much, I want it so bad. And it's a question that you have to ask yourself, Nina. If you want it so bad, perhaps only you know if you need to withdraw or keep pushing. And in my case, I want to keep on pushing because I want change to happen. And another thing, in Malaysia, it's still illegal. You can be criminalized for attempting suicide if you survive. Under the law, people who are caught, who attempt suicide and survive, will be either sent to jail um, or be penalized, be fined. So talking about it, being an advocate about this, about suicide and mental health and things like this, will hopefully push the agenda and make a difference. So again, because I want this, and it's a question you have to ask yourself, are you, do you still want it? Do you want to keep on pushing, or do you want to withdraw for your mental health sake? It's really, a question you have to ask yourself.
Thank you very much. Let's take a easier question first, and then we go back to the harder questions. So, Sinbong is asking for your LinkedIn contact. Do you have a LinkedIn so that they can connect with you or reach out if they have questions?
Yes, to be honest, I have registered. My friend keep on telling me, you should start, Alia, you should start. I started LinkedIn. I have registered, but I haven't, posted anything yet. But Awas is in there, and LinkedIn, Alia Ali is in there. I will try. I will promise after this, I will try to, to be more active on LinkedIn. Yeah. Thanks.
Let me just share. In this little thing under the screen, the moving screen, you can see
Okay.
Alia's name, so you can search for her there.
Yes. And we are also, Awas is also on Instagram and Facebook. Yeah.
So you remember the Malaysian sign, AWAS,
Yes, yes,
and then you will find on Instagram, and then you can go from there. What's
correct.
the next question? Let me see. When is being strong too much?
Oh wow. Do you want to help me there, Andrea? Um, Again, it's a question you have to ask yourself. I really don't know. If you feel like your mental health is at stake, I think being strong too much is it. And also define what being strong means. Some people think being strong is standing up to something, or keep fighting, or but some people retreating or giving up. For example, if you have or if someone is in a abusive relationship with their partner, with their husband, right? Do you want to stay strong and be in a relationship, or do you want to stay strong and say, this is it, this is my limit, this is my boundary, I shall not take it? So we need to define, as women, or people, human beings, we need to define what is important to us. Strong can mean a lot of things to other people, to different people. So define what strong means to you and know what is right for you, because you are going to live your life and not anybody else. Yeah.
I could just add two things like being strong is it means that you're not getting hurt while being strong emotionally or physically. That's okay because you can stand up for yourself, you can be strong alone, you can do a lot of things for yourself until you are not getting hurt emotionally or physically. And the other thing is when you are being strong, it has to be real for you, not strong and fake and a lie. So be very honest for yourself whether that strong is is really you and you are that's your belief that
Yeah.
you have to be strong in that situation and you have to be true to yourself in that situation.
Right.
So that would be my thing. And then yeah, one more question. She's a curious lady. Is there a
Yeah.
tendency of a repeated suicide in a family line or environment where suicide occurred once?
Definitely. After losing a loved one to suicide, I have there aren't a lot of resources in Malaysia, unfortunately, on being a suicide loss survivor. So I had to import my resources from the Amazon. I went online. there's such thing as bibliotherapy. So I went to read and read and read, try to understand more, try to understand my healing journey and all that. But yes, I found that there is repeated suicide in a family line. There is no genetic for suicide. They haven't found, or there is none, but there is a genetic tendency for mental illness. So because 80%, 80 to 90% of suicide death happens by people who are struggling with a mental health disorder. So that means it also runs in the family. You know what I mean? Am I making sense, Andrea? Like basically, if you have mental illness or mental health problems in the family line, it's also something that you need to worry about, because it can happen in the family. Because mental people who are struggling with mental health disorder have this tendency to take their life. Yeah, but yeah. Oh,
More and more. She's a very powerful African lady. You should
yes.
see her. She's like super, super strong lady. Maybe that's why she's so interested in these topics. So she's
Okay.
saying, I guess those that are strong don't know when they lock in and fight alone to make things happen, even when their strength is gone. They believe in fighting to win and won't stop until they drop dead.
Right. But
That's a very strong statement for this
it, it
afternoon.
it is very strong, but I would like to end this with, is it worth it? At the end of the day, um it depends on whether or not we find it worth it. Because if we stay strong, whatever that means, right? If we keep on being strong, but it causes damage to other things, either our own mental health or our children's mental health, or whatever that means. So is it worth being strong? It's something that we have to ponder and think about, and redefine what is important to us, what is important. Because what is important, for instance, right, in my generation, my parents or my family, the older generation, they don't talk about suicide, or but things must change with me, I feel. Because I want my children, the younger generation, to understand that it's okay to reach out. There is no shame in reaching out for help or struggling with mental health. But those days people don't talk. It's like, no, it's you don't talk about your mental health, things like that. So which side do you want to be? And it's up to you to define it, redefine it, and understand what strong means to you, I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I shared your Instagram, I mean AWAS Instagram here, so you can just click on that link, and we take one more question from Sing Fong, which because it's a bit specific, so it would
Okay.
be interesting to answer it. Asperger's syndrome sufferers have suicidal tendency. Have you dealt with any before?
No, to be very honest, I have not dealt with any before. However, having said that, when I was working at a mental institution in hospital, once upon a time I was working in a psychiatric hospital. Um, there was a lot of specifically, if you're asking about Asperger's, individuals with Asperger's syndrome, they were also struggling with other like emotional issues and psychological issues. But I have not met uh, anyone with suicidal tendency. Yeah, but I won't be surprised if there's any, because people who are struggling with mental health issues would have that tendency anyway. So yeah, I hope
Thank you
that
very
answers.
much. We have one more comment from Udumna. Mental illness is worth being taught deeply in our world. Everyone needs the knowledge. Thank you very much, Udumna, for being here. Thank you also, Simfong, and thank you, Jag and Nana, and everyone, and also Datualia for joining in and supporting this cause. And we will keep on continuing. We have a crisis room set up for every Sunday with official counselors. So if you know someone who has problems or you yourself is struggling, you can just send an email. The information is on the website, and we protect this room so we don't put out the links. So you have to write to info@changelifesocialize.com. You will find it on the Global Empowerment Hub website, and write I need crisis room access, and then we will send you the link. So we will not post it anywhere, but if you need some help, if you want to reach out, we have psychologists and counselors in that room, every Sunday. So until the summit is here, so feel free to join us and ask questions.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you very much. I think this was it. Everyone is saying thank you, and thank you. And thank you. So I believe we gave a big awareness. We kept it on this on the positive side, on a meaning that we are raising awareness. We don't want to scare anyone. And please be aware also that we are not specialists here. Alia was sharing her experience and she was referring to people who are specialized on this subject. So please search for the correct person and someone who is qualified. If you have problems, consider a psychologist, because yeah, suicide is a serious issue. So it's important to have a professional who is a professional in this area.
Right.
And if you have anything just to want to talk and need some direction, that I'm really advising you to reach out and check out AWAS AWAS, right?
Right.
And you will find more information here.
Okay.
Anything that I left out, Alia?
No, so far so good. And I must congratulate you, Andrea, for this. I was able to read on the Global Empowerment Summit. So you're awesome. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Yes, 3 weeks to go. Yeah,
Yeah!
and half time. At least half time is done. So now we can go for the second half.
You can do it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have a nice sleep tomorrow and I can continue. So thank you very much, Alia. Have a beautiful Sunday evening, and
Thank you.
thank you
You
for
too.
your share and for being here with us today.
All right. Thanks, Andrea.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching, guys.
Thank you.